Nielsen Ratings is a show just for you. We talk film, TV, both old and new. We discover new things, our taste get broader. So here's the show's host in no particular order. He's a little rough, he's a little caustic. Everybody knows the most, the one and only toxic. From way up top, you'll find another to start. You forgot to press like when you scream yacht. Stupenzolicious gonna judge you on your sense of cool by asking you what's your favorite Mexican food. You shouldn't tell secrets, but you know that he can. It's the Hollywood goss from the inside man. Well, by answer, sometimes Drake's got that humor. Everybody thinks he looks like Quentin Tarantino. So come on in and join the Nielsen Ratings. It's a show that you've all been anticipating.
Hello. I'm here with my regular co-host, Stupenzolicious. How's it going, mate?
Great. Chilling. Hanging out. Same old.
I actually managed to join your show in the early hours of the morning.
I remember. And I subjected you to a Chuck E. Cheese movie that you were quite fond of.
That was a painful experience. I feel if I'd known that was... I was promised two hours of cigarette commercials instead.
We only got through 90 minutes of cigarette commercials before I was like, I think we've seen enough. But yeah, that was a fun time Sunday. I might stream later tonight and watch some more weird crap. So we'll see.
So if you fancy watching some weird crap, head over to Enzo's channel later tonight. You never know what you might see. You might get a narration of a Chuck E. Cheese movie. It could be exploring the history of tampon ads. Who knows? Anything is possible.
We'll find a Ronald McDonald movie next or something. I don't know.
I think we should bring in the rest of our guests from way up north. A man who frequently streams on Friday evenings, digesting old movies and new. It's the Northern Bastard.
Hello, you damn fools, and we talk about Sinners. I can't wait. I love this movie. God damn it.
Wow.
Don't worry, I'll change the avatar now. It's just a joke.
I feel like you're going to halve my audience before we've even started.
I know.
Okay.
It's just a
I think you're overestimating your urban demographics there, Lance.
And that's also
I'm
possible.
culturally appropriated. I do apologise. Please don't cancel me. Here we go. Back to my normal pasty white bread self there.
Man who's used to being cancelled, the inside man is here. How are we doing, sir?
Yeah, I haven't seen you for ages. What have you been up to?
I did an industry interview earlier with...
you were just talking together, you liar.
And this individual certainly did sound familiar that was on with me earlier.
It was an imposter.
Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington is in the chat. Love the Vampire Blues movie. I think we're going to be talking about that in a minute. We've got a few other regulars and semi-regulars in the chat. Aaron is here. Good to see you, mate. Gavin Blackburn. Have you been on my channel before? I'm not sure, mate. I like the Star Trek avatar. Proctophile, of course.
Hey.
Connoisseur of many of my favourite things. He is here also. There are 10 others. We're quite interactive with the chat while we can afford to be, so don't be afraid to put your comments and thoughts. And when we rate movies and TV shows that we're talking about, if you've seen them, then please also rate them out of 10. So we're going to be getting on to a few other things. Going to be talking about Mobland again. Episode 4 of that has dropped, and some other shows, and of course some classic oldies from my panelists, including a Rodney Dangerfield movie, no less. But before we get on to all of that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, I'm trying to hit 10,000 subs before the end of this year. So you too can assist if you're watching.
What do you got,
first time.
6,000? You got 8,000?
I'm at 5.5.
5.5.
5.5. Yeah,
All
well,
right.
nearly 5.5.
All right.
Mm.
You can do it.
I mean, it's doable. It's doable, potentially. All depends.
You know what you should
on...
do? Start talking endless shit about Alyssa Mercante. And once she sends her army of trolls against you, your channel will blow up. Turn
Right.
turn into a Gamergate channel, and there you go. You'll. I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to sort of I'm trying, not to stoop too low.
I'm kidding, bro.
If I can, but just to, because I try to avoid just doing like shit for. I mean, I know there are ways to bump
Oh,
the
me
algorithm.
too.
doing
Me
that kind
too,
of
man.
shit,
I
but
get it. It's a lot of brain rot on YouTube lately.
Yeah, this is a lovely picture of two of my favorite people on the rave scene. So I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna tell you a funny story about these guys. So this is Kim and Rob Weeble. Big shout out to the Weebles. In fact, I'm gonna drop the link for this stream right now, and I'm gonna let them know. I'm giving them a shout out. So I got a funny story about these guys. So how I got to know them on the rave scene is because I wanted to ask out this girl on a date, right? And I found out that 3 people that were going to the same rave event as me had birthdays on that weekend, including the girl I wanted to ask out, and also one of the other people was Kim Weeble, who's in this picture. So I decided what would be a really great idea was if I got a card and a present. I definitely didn't overthink this at all. If I got a card and a present for all 3 of the people who had birthdays for that weekend, including the girl I wanted to ask out. So I got to give her a card with a nice message in it, not too romantic or anything, fairly normal. And I bought everybody a Funko Pop, right? Because I knew this girl was kind of into Funko Pops. I've seen a picture of her with one. So when the Weebles arrived, who I'd only met once previously for about 2 minutes, I had to kind of take Rob to one side and say, look, I'm giving your wife a birthday present and a card, but this is all part of a highly classified romantic operation in order for me to ask out this other girl whose name I'm not going to mention. And he was like, oh, okay, mate. Yeah, no problem. Anyway. And the plan was that I would give them, we have a pre-meet in the pub where everybody meets up and we socialise. And to keep it all very cash, the plan was I would give casual. The plan was I would give out the cards and the presents to everybody at the same time, right? Only the girl that I wanted to ask out, she was late. So we were all moving off to the club and I was carrying these bags with this stuff and I was like, oh, fuck it. So I had to give Kim her little present and I had to give Lewis his little present. And then finally the girl arrives like tottering along behind everybody else. And when I went to give it to her, no one else was there. So that plan just went to shit. But anyway, the Weebles have become best mates of mine since then because it's a funny story we now tell it in the pub and that kind of thing. And they are absolutely the best kind of people. I absolutely love them to bits. So part of my rave family, just want to give them a shout out. They are awesome. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure you guys found that story very amusing. People in the chat can give that story an amusing rating of 1 out of 10 for entertainment purposes only. Okay, let's move on.
I can think of another of your stories that's absolutely hilarious.
Which story is that?
I can't say. I don't think you want me to say. It's the. Let me just say. It seems to me she lived her life like a candle in the wind.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We can't talk about. We can't talk about that one.
No.
Yeah. No, we can't talk. Oh, I see. We're going to be laughing all the way through.
Such a good lad. Now. Such a good lad.
Yeah, but we can't. Yeah. There was a big discussion about me dark moding my screen going on here. Yeah, I have dark moded some of my stuff, so it's not as bad as it used to be. But Facebook is not dark moded. Sorry. There we are. Okay, let's move on. We're gonna move on. All right. So, yeah, I mean, let's talk about arguably one of the best films out so far this year. I went to the cinema to see it. Sorry, Toxic, adding you there. Just saw you there, mate. You're in.
No
you're
problem.
In
No problem. No
now.
problem.
Sinners. If you haven't seen this film yet, you should. I definitely recommend seeing it on the big screen. And it was what was great about this movie for me. I don't want to get into spoilers because it's only just come out, and a lot of people won't have seen it yet. So I'm just going to say to my guests who have watched it, no spoilers, please, because this is one of those films where the less you know about it going in, the better. Just watch it for what it is, and let the story unfold. And what I loved about this movie was it was completely original. I mean, yeah, there are some bits and pieces that you might have seen in some other films, but all the filmmakers of now, the generation now who are making movies, are all people who grew up with the same movies as most of my panelists, and they would have been inspired by those films. So yeah, sure, there will be some things you'll go, oh yeah, I remember something like that in another movie. But this is an original piece of work. It's an original script, absolutely first class cast, brilliantly shot. It's tense. It's a really, really good piece of work. And at one of the screenings in London, just a regular screening at the IMAX in the South Bank, Michael B. Jordan and Wumi Masoka turned up to present the screening to a regular audience, which I thought was fucking great of them. No red carpet and all that. They literally just turned up as a surprise. And I thought that was great. It's kind of, if you remember the Ralph Macchio movie from the 80s called Crossroads, this is like kind of Crossroads and Mississippi Burning had a baby, with a few other films thrown in, like Dusk Till Dawn would be a good, that'd be another one.
Yeah, I was definitely saying more everyone's comparing it to From Dusk Till Dawn. And I was like, no, it's more like Crossroads, but with vampires. It's cool.
Yeah, Crossroads, plus Mississippi Burning, plus plus Dusk Till Dawn, chopped in a blender. It's just great to see an original film. It's very ballsy, takes risks. I fucking loved it. This is definitely a film I want to own in my Blu-ray collection, and I don't say that very often because I very rarely buy physical media now, simply because I can't afford it and I don't have the space, as most people don't. You've seen it, Enzo. Who else has seen it?
I think we all have.
I haven't.
Yeah, I just watched it. I watched it twice because there was a lot of stuff I missed on it as well of the first time.
Yeah, there was.
And I think don't know if it was because of the copy, but I heard Nads was complaining that sometimes the music drowned out some of the dialogue or when the characters were speaking. So I'm guessing that was probably the reason why I did miss out some bits of information.
Did you see it at the cinema, or did you see it on the good ship Hoo Ha?
Yeah, I saw on the good ship, the high seas cinema.
Well, don't fucking complain about the sound quality then.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to say your opinion on this topic is completely invalid.
Yeah, but if someone's complaining about it, the sound, when they have seen it at the cinema, then yeah, it's. But it seems to be a problem with modern movies these days. I mean, they always seem to have trouble mixing the fucking dialogue and music most of the time. I will say that it doesn't ruin the film.
There was a bit of Tom Hardy Batman mumbling in the film. Ollie has mentioned this as well. There was a little bit of that.
Yeah, I'm tired of these motherfucking vampires outside this motherfucking sawmill.
But I didn't have a problem with the pace of the movie. I thought the pace was good because you got very invested in people. That's what you want.
It builds up. It's called build up. It gives us time to get to know these characters because there's a lot of characters in here. We got to know we have to know these people, don't we? We have to care whether they live or die. And yeah, I did care for these characters.
Yeah. So I mean that's a very good point. Jack O'Connell is fucking awesome in this.
Fucking awesome.
Oh yeah. Jack. A lot of people are saying as like I've never heard of Jack O'Connell before, dude. watch his other stuff. He's really good. There's a real good prison film that I've heard. He's brilliant in called Star.
Yeah, I mean,
Eden Lake.
Yeah.
He's a right psychotic fucker in that one. And he was
Startup is the prison movie. One of his best movies is 71. 71 is an absolutely amazing film. Which you should definitely watch if you haven't seen it. He's a soldier in Northern Ireland who gets separated from his unit. It's a fucking amazing film. So yeah, I mean, okay, Stupenzo, what did you think?
Thought it was really good. Could have been a perfect movie if you changed a couple things. I won't get into it here, but I talked about it on Leon's show yesterday. Just like there's not as many payoffs as there were setups, but yeah, like the music's the best part of the movie. I loved all the music stuff. I wish that had kind of come back at the end. But yeah, like there's a specific scene in the middle of the movie where it's like, that's either going to make or break the movie for you, with how wild and outrageous that was. But I liked it. I thought it was cool. I've said similar stuff before where, you know, when you're watching a musician or whoever, an artist or an actor or whatever, there's sometimes like they tap into this divine outside force. You know, they tap into the other world for a brief minute, and everyone kind of realizes, everyone knows what's happening, but they can't like put it into words.
Right.
You know, they kind of mentioned that in the movie, but again, it just doesn't really have that great payoff. But yeah, I did appreciate the gore's fun. The setup, the first hour of the movie is like so solid. I did feel like the two action scenes at the end were a bit rushed and felt tacked on. I felt like it would have been better to have like a Demon Knight style situation where like everyone's getting kind of pulled out one at a time type of thing, like picked off slowly as opposed to like just big battle at the end. I think that, you know, like I said, the cinematography is great. This guy, I was wondering like, who the hell's this guy? Then he started singing and playing guitar and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. He's like an actual musician that they had to act in a movie.
Miles Caton.
Delroy Lindo, he was like a big standout for me. I love him. He's got the best name in Hollywood.
He's always good.
He's always good, but he's really good in this one, and it's good that he's like, you know, he's still got it. He's great. Nick Cannon is two characters, you know. It's one of those things where you could argue they could have been one character, but at the same time, if you're going to make them two characters, you know, I think the differences in them are strong, but they could have been a lot stronger. So that way they can kind of have a nice like dichotomy between the two of them. But as far as the vampires themselves, like I loved how creepy they looked. There's like they kind of you know, there's some crazy monster effects towards the end. I could have done without that. I like just the glowing eyes.
Yeah,
I could have even done without the fangs. You know, the fangs are cool, but like. These fangs especially are cool because you know most vampires have different fang designs, but yeah, just a little like there's a little glowing ember in their eyes, and it's just a great like little reflective light, and it just makes this great like uncanniness to them. It's very Salem's Lot. I love that kind of look, but as far as like the vampires, I always like vampires better as like more solitary creatures. I always think of it like a salesman. Like if I was a salesman, I don't want to be like recruiting a bunch of other salesmen in my area. You know, it's like Innocent Blood is great because like, you know, she bites like if biting someone, simply biting someone turns them into a vampire, but you have to bite them to feed, you know. I would be one of those vampires that's like every time I feed on someone, I would rip their head off to make sure they don't come back. You know, I don't want more vampires running around.
Like 30 Days a Night type thing.
And the vampires are a little bit more, they kind of have this like, you know, I don't know. They kind of not sympathetic, but they make it seem like being a vampire ain't so bad. You know, and it's like, no, it is bad. You're a cursed lapdog of Satan. It should be like this idea that, you know, we're just going to live in song and peace and harmony and it's all going to be great. Like a world where there's no more strife and death and stuff. And it's just like, I'd like to think that they were lying. But yeah, as far as like the Southern black setting, that stuff's fun. I feel like the racism could have been handled better. I think there should have been like an underlining theme of like, cause like, yeah, they do kind of play on like, there's a little bit of the white man's bad in this movie, whereas it should have been like skin color doesn't matter. Good versus evil is what's important. And they should have done that by like incorporating more of these KKK people in the story, both as vampires and as like human survivors. I think that would have been, added a nice dynamic to the movie. But instead, they kind of do a little bit of modern politics. And also the other thing, based on the trailer, I thought vampires were going to be like one of many supernatural things going on in the movie. I thought it was going to be a much more like, witchcrafty style, satanic kind of movie, but it's just a straight up vampire movie.
Okay. Northern, anything to add to that?
I just like how they really do build up this world, and it does look like they could create a whole kind of universe of itself. I mean, we see these native Indians who are hunting vampires, and God, I want to see their story as well. I kind of want to see this little world that's cool.
That was another one of those like payoffs I was talking about with the natives. It's like where were that? They needed you set that up. You got to pay it off.
Yeah, maybe there's room for a sequel.
Yeah, they'll probably make a prequel because Hollywood's stupid.
The whole clan thing was actually set up, and it does give a reason for everyone to join up with the vampires, which I won't spoil whether they say yes or no, whether they jump into that, but I think maybe it could have done a bit more subtly, but it is at least set up though, and it's not just shoved in there like most modern movies would do at the end, and it is set during a time when stuff like this did happen. But I did like the fact that the vampires weren't just some kind of allegory for KKK fucking white men bad kind of things. They're actually kind of diverse. There's no prejudice in who they convert. They want everyone to join them. They want to include everyone. It's like turn everyone into a collective.
That's why I wanted more diversity among the survivors as well. Because you'd imagine that the KKK were, probably pretty Christian, pretty religious, and probably would renounce literal demons, But that's the other thing. Like, there is no Christianity. Like, there's a big, preacher boy is one of the main characters. His son of a preacher man. I would have liked to have seen more actual, like, Christian Jesus God type stuff. Like, helping. Yeah. This is how you fight 50 vampires, you use the power of God. Instead, it always has to be modern or more like not modern, like more like indigenous religions like voodoo and rituals and mumbo jumbo, as we like to racistly call it. No, literally you need the power of literally the Jehovah God of Christ, which is why it's that much more scary. Because
isn't that mumbo jumbo as well?
Well, exactly. That's why vampires are so terrifying, because you realize like holy water and crucifixes actually work, and it isn't mumbo jumbo, and you realize like, oh no, like you're like, oh wait, that's crazy.
Okay, Toxic. You got any thoughts to add quickly?
Yeah, it's the best film I've seen all year easily. I've gone on and on about it in other realms, and been I've been getting blasted by some of the naysayers and the birthday clowns who are nitpicking.
Well, be your own man. Stand up to them. That's fine.
Trust me, Lance. I have. I just feel like I know because you said no spoilers, but that one scene, the hodgepodge musical scene, I had no idea this movie was going to have so much music in it. I mean, I wouldn't rate it as a musical, certainly, but I mean, it has way more than I expected, and it was a really pleasant surprise. And it was a little jarring at first, that one scene, but when you look into the lore of it, it really makes a lot of sense. I'll just give you a real quick example. My first wife, being Creole, they had a rule in the church not to stomp your feet, because when you stomp your feet, even in praise of God, to it summons demons and things like that. Better to raise your hands to God and to heaven was their logic there. So, and as far as the Christianity portion, Christianity is really kind of like mixed up in that a lot. I'm glad they took the time and had a believable, hoodoo woman in this to actually, give a little weight to the thing. Because one thing I can't stand in vampire movies, me and Enzo have gone back and forth. I cannot stand in vampire movies the whole, I don't believe in vampire. People are getting their necks ripped out and people are flying around or doing this or that. And there's like, but there's no such thing as vampires. This movie didn't do none of that malarkey, didn't waste no time with it. Just was like, okay, there's vampires coming after us. What do we need to do to survive until the morning? There's none of that BS in this, and I really like that. I wasn't too put off with Michael B. Jordan playing twins, but I can tell you that I've heard rumblings that guy he was in Creed with, that's been kind of canceled, was originally set to play the other brother. And I think that I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, I really would have liked to have seen that. Be that as it may, it didn't put me off too much. Usually the twin thing kind of, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to see twin stuff. I do agree.
A lot of people are complaining that there's not much to differentiate.
There's not. I thought there was. I thought
there is. One of them's more stern, and one of them jokes
one
around
more.
Stern, but that's about it.
Tragic, and the other's a bit more callous, isn't he?
What they should have done is
don't forget the big caterpillar as well. That's quite a significant.
Yeah, I should have. I'm not. I mean, this is like spoilers. I don't want to say it, but one of them should.
No, well, don't say it then. No spoilers. Yeah. No spoilers. Okay, all right. I think.
Go ahead.
Go on.
It's one of those films that I've already gone back to see twice. I really like stuff that's set in the South. I don't get to see a lot of that. I've never heard of this English actor before playing the Irish vampire. I'm so glad they did something where they make him almost sympathetic. He's really compelling actor. And I mean, I know I'm the only one that peruses TikTok and stuff like that, but I mean, you've got everybody from every race talking about how he is, the guy with the biggest aura in the film. And, they have people like wanting to do river dancing when they get out of there, because I mean, that one scene is just so epic with him. And I like the fact that they don't just talk about, Black culture. They talk about Chinese culture, indigenous culture, Irish culture, all that stuff. And I thought it was done really, really well. I can't rate this highly enough.
And I think he does kind of see. He does.
Hold on. We're now super chat. Fuck's sake. Yeah. Darth Vader for $5 says, sounds like a horror version of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Final word, Northern.
Yeah, check it out. It's not perfect, but it's fucking better than most of the shit that's come out, especially stuff that does touch on racial tensions.
Okay, we're going to give our ratings out of 10. I rate this very highly. I give it 9 out of 10. Great, fresh, original piece of work, well acted, well shot. It won't be for everybody, but for fuck's sake, it's not a sequel, a prequel, or a remake. And it is an original piece of work that takes a lot of risks, and I like that. So,
but is this, the only problem I have with vampire movies and have had for a long time is that.
Oh, I'm sorry, we've lost the inside man's
I want to hear what he said. Shut up.
We're still ratings out of 10 quickly, and then I'll bring him back in. So, because he hasn't seen it, so I give it 9. Depends.
He's asking a question about vampire
ratings.
Movies.
It's called the Nielsen ratings.
Depends. What's your rating? I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. If you had just changed a few things, man, this could have been a 10 out of 10. This could have been up there with Return of the Living Dead, American Werewolf in London, RoboCop. This could have been literally a perfect movie if you had just changed a couple things. 8, yeah.
Okay, right. 8 out of 10. Northern.
Yeah, I give it a good 9 out of 10.
All right, 9 out of 10. Toxic?
10 out of 10. It's the best movie I've seen in years.
Okay, well, that's a recommendation. Inside Man. You may now talk.
Right. The question I was going to ask was, and I'm going to proceed it with this, the problem that I have with vampire movies is that they always seem to be very allegorical. I mean, is this some kind of allegory for something? Is it another vampire allegorical story?
Not too much.
You could kind of see it that way.
It was a good film. I just thought it was a good film.
You can kind of see it that way if you choose to. I've seen some really interesting takes where some people have gone completely the wrong way and say, "Oh, this is just a white man bad racist movie," and I've seen other people say, "Well, the whole point, this one character it gets everybody killed because of something that she does, bringing the vampires into them and stuff like that." And then I've seen other people just say, I really think, this Irish culture thing is really cool. And I never knew that. So I find it to be very fascinating. So, I mean, it kind of can pick up whatever you assign it.
Yeah. It's open to interpretation for sure.
Yeah. But I don't think
it's not as allegorical as most vampire movies.
There's not a message in it, is there? There's not a message in it being rammed down your throat. I don't think so.
No, it's definitely not rammed down your throat.
Yeah.
And it does have a cool scene with the Tommy gun. I feel that's all you need to know in Simon.
Well, I'm sold.
Okay. Do go and see it because I would like to hear your thoughts on it next week. Okay. All right. I will remind my panelists once we go to ratings, that's all I want to hear. Because we got to keep to time. It's already 34 minutes past 10 and we've only done one movie. So my apologies for being strict, but that's how it works here. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on. So I think that's basically a recommendation for Sinners. If you haven't seen it, give it a go. Okay, a couple of new releases on Netflix that are worth checking out. There's a documentary on the Diamond Heist, which I briefly mentioned last week. It was a big robbery that took place in the UK, and they've gone back and done a documentary about it, spoke to a lot of the original people involved. It's worth seeing. I wouldn't give it much more than kind of 6 or 7 out of 10. But if you like your crime documentaries, it's worth your time. This one, however, is a little bit better. This dropped on Netflix this week. The Oklahoma City bombing, American terror. Of course, for Americans in Oklahoma, not many people will forget this day. Terrible thing. Again, lots of interviews with the key players involved and a really good breakdown of everything that happened that day and the investigation that followed. I think there's also been a drama series about this, which I've seen. I vaguely remember watching. That might be some time ago, but I might be mixing that up with something else. Has anyone else on the panel seen this doc?
No.
No? Anyone? No?
Sorry, no.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it's a solid 8 out of 10 from me. I won't spend any more time on it, but it's a good recommendation. Also, we've got 2 episodes of The Last of Us, which is out now. Lots of people talking about episode 2. Some people saying it's the best thing they've ever seen, particularly complimentary about the big action sequence, acting and so on. Other people who are fans of the game, less enamored with it. Who else has been watching it so far, season 2? I think Northern, you've been watching it. Yeah. Anyone else?
I have Lance watching it.
Okay, so Northern and Toxic have seen it.
No, I've not watched it.
Oh, you haven't? Sorry, Northern. I thought you'd watched it.
No, I did watch the first few episodes of season 1, and to be honest, I just didn't go back to it. I'm not interested. I'm not.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Toxic, give me your thoughts on it.
I think it's an incredible show. I love this season 1, and I love season 2. Nadia has us doing a rewatch discussion this week. I'll talk about that when you ask us to give plugs. And I think this is. I think it's better. I think it's got one serious glaring problem, which I think I mentioned on your show previously, and I do have some concerns. But beyond that, I mean, it's only episode 2, so But I'm glued to the TV. I thought that last episode. I mean, it was riveting. It was shocking. It was a lot to take in, and I even knew what was going to happen. So, is this the same thing, Lance? Do we do no spoiler or?
Well, sure. I think a lot of people haven't watched it yet, so I think we will. I mean, but I think it's out there that Joel dies.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's out there that Joel dies. Now, some people think that Bella Ramsey redeems herself in this episode and is on point with her acting. There's some praise for her. Some people are not convinced.
Well, to an extent, I would agree with you on that one. However, that being said, the problem that I mentioned previously, either on your show or on Blue Collar Show, I don't remember. Bella, she's being, surrounded by really high tier quality act. I mean, I really rate Caitlin Dever the highest of the high. I can't say. I've watched her basically grow up on screen from like NCIS, Justified, to No One Will Save You, that she did a couple years ago. I mean, where she had no dialogue, but she's still very compelling. Then you also have Isabella Marced, and she's also great. I've only seen her in a couple things, but I think she's a great actress, and that really brings, and this because you've been a director and a screenwriter, obviously, so that like if you have certain people who are like top tier and they're doing their thing, someone who's kind of the weaker link, it brings more attention, especially if that person is in, you know, the main protagonist role. So she does very good when she's crying and she's bawling and she's upset. It's the other moments where she has to play pensive or tense, or just, you know, when things are really high octane, she seems to do pretty well. But it's the other moments, and some of those moments are really important to the story. So moving forward, you know, I never played the game. I've only watched.
Oh, Tox, do we lose you? We lost Toxic's audio. Okay, well, that's a good segue for me to bring in a special
muted
guest.
him. Don't lie, Lance. Why'd you mute him?
Did you mute? Did
No,
you mute me?
No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm
he
kidding.
didn't.
No, I didn't mute you. You cut out.
You did cut out.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm only gonna kick you guys out for a second if you A, say something appropriate, or B, fucking interrupt me when I ask people for their scores. That's
Right.
not a time for an inside man philosophy point of the week. Okay, so just
Anyway,
to be clear,
what I was going to say was,
yeah, I know where those go.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
No, I can hear you okay now. I've got a special guest I'm going to bring in, but before I do that,
Okay.
one thing I would like your opinion on is what is the acting like from the newer members of the cast? We've got people like Tati Gabrielle, who's got a pretty cool look, who turns up in in that kind of like that group. We've got some good new talent there.
I mean, to a certain extent we do, but I mean, they didn't really have much to do. I like this guy that you're showing right here. The one before him, that one right there.
Spencer Lord.
Yeah, he's really good. I like he has a very subdued performance. He seems to be like really in control. And again, I didn't play the game, so I don't know his significance to the overall story. My understanding is like it goes on a revenge thing where Ellie's going to be like going after all of these guys and tearing her way to get to Abby. How much they'll stick to that, I can't say for certain, because I mean, obviously they've made some changes. I know they've already made some not drastic changes, but enough changes to kind of correct some of the problems that the game had up to this point,
Right.
Making it make more sense. So I mean, I like it. I always get nervous when they introduce too many characters, because then it's like it starts to pull away from, I prefer a less is more approach, with that. I don't like too many characters. And I say that knowing I fucking write too many characters in my stories as well. I can't help it. But I mean, you really got to give them enough time. And there's like 6 or 7 of these new characters. And it's just like, okay, well, what are they just cannon fodder? Are they just going to get like chopped through so she can get to Abby? Or are they going to actually, appeal to something? So I really don't know.
Okay. Well, somebody who has played the game extensively is independent filmmaker Oliver Hollingdale, who joins us now
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
in the channel.
Good evening.
Hello,
Now, mate, you would as soon as we started talking about Last of Us, you literally transferred £500 to my account and said, "Please let me on."
Nice. Nice.
Well, I wish that was true. It wasn't, but he begged me to come on.
Yeah.
Because this is a big topic for you.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not going to spend half an hour on this, Ollie, but
No.
I do have a massive sand timer here. So
Good.
I'm going to put my sand timer of doom on, and when it runs out of time, you will have said your piece. So I'm going to
it's all
start the
good.
sand timer now. Jump in.
Right, Last of Us. The first game is a masterpiece in storytelling.
Agreed.
And I think just the guy, Neil Druckmann, I just don't understand his mind on how he's just kind of subverted everything for Series 2. People love Ellie and Joel. They love their relationship. Why create something in a second series or this game where it's just undoes everything and just makes everyone just so bitter, so miserable? I get it. It's a post-apocalyptic and people are killing everyone left, right, and center. But we want Joel and Ellie. We want to see that relationship. And I just feel that the show has rushed through a lot of that and it's going to focus on the very miserable aspects. And I think because they've bumped off Pedro in episode 2, I think it's going to really lose a lot of people going forward. Especially
too.
Bella Ramsey's got to carry this. I mean, credit where credit's due. She did a good job in the scene in that moment, the iconic moments. But I just still think they're just all so miscast. More or less everyone. The only one, Caitlin Dever, I think she would have been a great Ellie. I think personally,
Agreed.
I think she's
Agreed.
much more stronger.
Yeah.
And I just can't buy her as Abby. Abby's meant to be quite a worked out person. That's the whole point why she works out, because it's her focus to get Joel. But she's like 5 foot, 2, 3? And
Yeah.
I mean, all the other guys are towering over her, and it just feels very. I don't know. I think it's going to decline in views going forward. But the production value, the entertainment value, I mean, they've got it spot on. Those guys who work behind the scenes to make the aesthetic of the game in a live action flawless. I can't fault them for that.
I don't think I'm gonna say anything that hasn't been said before by somebody else, but yeah, like someone never played the second game. I played the first game. It's pretty awesome. Me and Toxic and Blue Collar definitely went over the first season, and basically what you're saying about Bella Ramsey carrying the whole show, it's like that's rough because she is a good actress. She's a great actress, but even my elderly mother was watching the first season of Last of Us with me, and I remember her saying, like, I like that show, but that little girl just so damn ugly. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. And it's like, the point is, it's not even about like,
sounds like such a pleasant woman.
It's not about sexualizing her or anything. It's just, you need actors need to be good looking, because we're going to be looking at their face for hours on end.
Yeah, I do
it just
agree
helps.
with that. I do agree. She does. I mean,
and I'm not saying good looking, but just not weird looking,
Yeah, I mean, her face does
and
look a bit like a
I'm not
foot.
saying, and this is not me saying, this is like my elderly mother. She's as normie as it can get. She's as normie as it can get. And that's the other thing that's a big question is, like, everyone was suspecting, this season's going to be this game is going to be 2 seasons long, so they're obviously going to stretch it out and kill Joel at the end. I'm shocked they killed him this early. Yeah. And I think everyone else is. Now the question is, are normies going to be as upset as the game players were? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's something you could have fixed with the game as well. Just kill Joel towards the end, and then it'll hit more and it's crazier.
The thing is, there is a good story among what they've got for sure. I just think it just needs to go through rewrites completely.
The other question is, the first season, obviously they took some liberties with the first game. I feel like it's going to be more insulting that they're going to be probably pretty damn faithful to the second game, which is like, why? Why don't you take some more liberties this time?
100%. They rushed through, I think, series 1 so quickly when there were so many fantastic moments that should have been the focus, and they rushed through it. They lost episode to Bill and Frank. Great, I mean, great acting. I can't fault them for that. But that's just like, well, that's an hour away from Joel and Ellie. I mean, they meant to meet Frank in the city, bypass his booby traps, and they escape through, like, they rescued Joel from a trap. They escape through a school, and they come across a bloater infected, and it's just meant to be this great action scene. And we just so it's just Frank and Bill for the whole episode. And I just think, and then now they think, we're now going to split the Last of Us 2 storyline over like 2 more, or like series 2 and series 3. I'm like, why?
There's the question is, like with the game, like I played the game 3 or 4 times, and every time it ends, I cannot help but start like clapping alone in my room.
It's great.
That's a great ending.
You don't need the second game. I mean, that ending is just enough. You just kind of assume that, she knows Joel is lying, but she's going to accept it anyway.
Yeah, and there was a time when the second game was coming out, people were excited about it. They're like,
me too.
Hell yeah.
My goodness, yeah.
But as far as following the game to a T or whatever, and I understand playing the game is different from watching the show, but the thing is, like, a lot of people knew that The Last of Us was a good story just from watching YouTube videos of the game Let's Plays.
Are fantastic.
And it's the same thing. It's just like Alien 3, where everyone's very upset that Bishop and fucking Hudson or Hicks. I'm sorry, Hicks and Newt. They all die right at the beginning, like off screen. It's like cheating. It's like you feel cheated out of something, Whereas I'm almost sure that like normies who are watching the show who didn't play the game are like, WTF. It's the same thing when Rick leaves The Walking Dead or when Michael Scott leaves The Office. It's like, who gives a shit now? Like, what is the point?
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is, I think it's a lot. I mean, you mentioned The Walking Dead, and I think that's a good example, but not for the reasons that you think. You know, people had a basic outline of what was going to happen with the narrative with The Walking Dead, and you know, spoilers from 15 years ago. You know, everybody knew, you know, Glenn was going to catch the bat from Negan, and then they kind of changed it around, made it a little worse even. And then kind of turn Negan into this sort of anti-hero. I mean, we'll see where it goes if anyone cares to still be following them spinoffs or whatever. But I think, I mean, I stand by this statement. Like, if you're a hardcore Last of Us gamer, you should not watch. This show's not for you. You can't, it's not possible for you to enjoy the show. And I'm going to explain to you why, because you can't delve. It's like military people enjoying something like SEAL Team 6 on TV or something like that. Like, if you've put all of this time, energy, love, devotion into a project, you're not going. Yeah, you lived it. I mean, yeah, I know that sounds silly about a video game, but again, it's just like if they did Vice City, I mean, I put hours and hours into that game. Although I'm not the beg of a crybaby, so I wouldn't really get that upset about it if they made like a cheesy version. But I have been in love with certain novels and book series, and like, you know,
what if they made a woke version of Vice City? You know,
yeah,
like,
Oh my god.
Yeah, they are. They're doing it with GTA 6.
But if I can address something that you guys said, you brought up the Bill episode from season 1. I hear this from everybody. Oh, it's such a great episode. It's so well acted, but it doesn't belong. If it's so great and it's so well acted, then it does belong. You can't have it both ways. And everybody wants to say, oh, well, you know, the show's doing very well and it is very well acted, and but it doesn't do this. And I hope everybody gets upset and stops watching it because Pedro Pascal has been killed off. It's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. It's one or the other. So if you're a hardcore gamer, don't watch this show, because you're just going to cry. You're just going to cry and cry and cry.
I'm not saying I'm hoping that people drop off, but I'm just wondering if they will.
I'm not talking about you. I know. You know who I'm talking about. You know the battles I've been fighting in other media. It's just
battles.
Like people are just like, it's been this like malicious, and I haven't seen this since The Walking Dead. This malicious like nastiness coming from people going, well, wait till season 2 and the golf club comes out. Then people are really going to hate this show.
I think that's kind of like, we need a new Snow White. We need something else to like lambast and bitch about for months on end. You know,
I get it. Birthday clowns have to go to the birthday parties or else they don't get paid. I get it. I understand that. But listen, this is just you say our normie's going to be, still watching this. Yeah. I mean, in this case, I am a normie and I do enjoy the show. My criticisms are, I think, fairly valid. I do think that Bella Ramsey, I disagree with you. I don't think she is a good actor. I think she's decent. I think that she was woefully miscast in this.
Yeah.
I would have put Kaylee Spaney in or something like that.
Oh, Kaylee Spaney. Oh my, looks. I mean, you watched Alien Romulus or even Civil War. She just looked. I was watching, going, this actress. What? Yeah. I would have her as Ellie, and I would have Hugh Jackman as Joel. I mean, you would crush
Pedro Pascal was it? I don't buy that either, though. Pedro. I mean, I'm sick of seeing him and everything too, but Pedro Pascal did a great job as Joel. That episode where he goes in a fugue state in the finale of season 1, it was freaking epic. I mean, all this he's not tough enough and all that. It's just garbage. Like it's so nitpicky birthday clown garbage.
Yeah, I think they did water down a lot of Joel in the show. That's the other thing.
I don't believe that at all.
Okay, well, look, agree to disagree there. I'm afraid you're both out of sand on the sand timer.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the other episodes. Jesus,
I know. I think this felt like this episode. I mean, it feels like they just blew the whole budget on this episode.
It also feels like they blew the load too, because, like I said, it's crazy they did it this early.
It just felt like a season finale, right? It just felt like that should have been. Doesn't he get
killed off early in the game though as well?
But does he get killed off this early in the game? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
But again,
well, then,
now you're just playing a game that just feels like a slog. I'm just going.
Yeah, and then Last of Us 2 gets killed off pretty near the beginning, I think.
Okay, but that's the other thing about Walking Dead. Like, people don't like especially like with a zombie show that goes on forever. There's no point. What's the point of living? It's everything's so morose. There's no levity. That's why a lot of people tune out of Walking Dead.
Yeah.
The Last of Us has this advantage because Ellie, this cure element, like there is a way, like maybe there is a hope or a future or something. That's enough to keep people going for multiple seasons or even games. But like I said, when you do this kind of when it's, I don't know, like I said, it just needs more.
Well,
You can't do this forever, you know. It's got
The Walking Dead's definitely gone too far. But let me be clear. I don't want to see any more of this after this season. Like I hope they're not no matter how well it does. They need to wrap it up this season and then that's it.
They're going to drag it out. They're going
which
to
is
drag it out
crazy.
because it's the second story they drag it out way and it overstays. As I said, it feels like a slog. I'm
But
playing
that's the
this
thing
game.
about modern video games. Like you don't need every little side quest and puzzle box that you know that was in the game to be in the movie. That's why games take hours and hours, 60, 70, 100 hours, whatever.
Sure.
It seems to be very hard to adapt games properly, though. I mean, you can do a novel and make changes and be fine, but it's games is even more.
I just
think
want to
Neil
see.
Druckmann. I just think he just. I don't know what he just changes because the first game is fantastic. If you just stick to that, fantastic. And if you carried that into the second story, great. But they just this whole subverting and this whole thing on people like Ol and Jelly. Yeah, we're going to make it. We're going to make her just be really just a dick to Joel.
The game also does kind of get straight to the point, even though it's got more hours in than the show. And the show kind of felt like it was padding out some stuff and adding some stuff that didn't really need to be there occasionally.
I just want to see.
Okay,
the
gentlemen,
CGI.
your 2 minute rebuttal is over, but I will give Inside Man his time. Because he tried to speak twice.
I just want to see a really good television adaptation of the game Pong, and I'll be satisfied.
Dude, I was not joking, but I was saying
Don't give him ideas inside.
Ninja Gaiden, Bubble Bobble, A Boy and His Blob. Make a movie about a boy and his blob. Let's seriously, I'm not even joking. Like you could do crazy stuff with that. You could go stray from the source material very hard with A Boy and His Blob. You know? Go nuts.
Horror Oscarera agrees with you, Stupenzo. He agrees. He wants to see that. So anyway, okay, all right. Well, we're not going to spend any more time on that. Those people who have watched the first 2 episodes of season 2. Where are you at with it so far on a score of 1 to 10? Toxic?
It's easily an 8 out of 10. Easily.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone? Ollie?
I mean, I'd just probably give it 5 out of 10. It's entertaining enough. They put enough in just to keep it entertaining. But beyond that, I'm like, I know where it's going. That's why. It just doesn't fill me with confidence.
Okay, Ollie, do you want to hang out for the rest of the stream, or do you have to go?
I've got to go, guys, but I thought I'd just quickly jump in and say hey, and probably come meet your calves later.
Cool.
Yeah, good to meet you. Make sure you have an avatar with your poster for your film.
Yeah, I did. I thought it did have my face on it. I don't know where it gone, but yeah.
So for those people
Faceless.
watching, Ollie does not look like a snowman in real life. He is a person. Okay, well, no doubt we'll get
Good
you
night,
back
guys.
in to
Take
talk
care.
about your film again.
Take care, Ollie.
Take care, guys.
All right, bye. Okay, so guests from the independent world of film popping in on this channel, willy-nilly, as we like to say. Okay.
I like Willie Nilly's directed movies. He's a good director.
Possibly the easiest $500 I ever made. Well, there was that time when Toxic came a bit too fast. So, okay.
Easy.
Anyone seen episode 4 of Mobland? Yes, I have. That's next on the list. I'm only going to talk about it briefly. I've been urging my panelists to watch it because so far it's delivering a pretty consistent show in my view. Again, this is a gangster show. It's already much better than Gangs of London, which I really thought was quite poor. I mean, it had great action scenes in it, but I just didn't believe it. This is more kind of Long Good Friday sort of level. Episode 4 has just dropped. I've just seen it. I know, Northern, you've been watching it. Are you up to speed?
I've not had a chance to catch up. Fucking hell, there's just been a lot going on, and I really have liked these first 2 episodes so far, and I do want to continue this because it does seem to have some potential.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's with the 4 episodes to date, it's an 8 out of 10 from me. I am really enjoying it. I think it's good. We have already talked about the BBC series. That's called This City Is Ours. That's set in Liverpool. We rated that quite highly. So we have talked about that. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Anyone else seen Mobland? Watched up to episode 4. Anyone else?
Nah.
Anyone? Okay. All right. So only me. So only me. All right. So we'll move on from that. Okay. I did also mention, I'll only mention this briefly and get it out of the way. Somebody in the chat recommended we watch Protection with Siobhan Finneman. I saw like the first 3, I think there's 6 episodes altogether. I'd seen like the first 3 and I came on the channel, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, and I was quite excited about it. I was really into it. I was really gripped. And then it's one of these shows where, and this is quite common on a lot of television stuff, they kind of fuck it in the last episode. And when the truth is revealed and it's conspiracy upon conspiracy upon conspiracy, I just thought, really? Is that it? Is that the story? And there was also a lot of stuff that wasn't really tied up. And I think it was kind of deliberately left for a second series, whereas actually if it had just been a self-contained show that wasn't reaching for season 2 and had a more believable beginning. I think, Paul, I think it was you that recommended it to me, mate. I really liked this up until episode 4. Episode 5 was okay. Episode 6, I didn't buy it. So I can only give the show a soft recommendation. And overall, it's a 7 out of 10 from me. I mean, it's good, but it's not great. Rob Faulkner is giving Mobland 8 out of 10 so far. Okay. Did anybody else follow that recommendation and watch Protection? No? Okay, it's good that our panelists...
I didn't hear anything about this.
You were on the stream. You were on the stream where we talked about it. Paul Smith recommended it. I said I would watch it.
I don't watch shows until they're over, man. You know me.
Yeah. Well, it's all out. It's all available. It's all out there. All the episodes are out there.
Okay. Well, that's different. Yeah. Waiting every week, man. It's I ain't getting burned again, man.
I hear that.
No, I prefer to binge in one go. Okay, so we're going to some of the selections from my panelists. We're going to talk about an oldie now, and this one is a particular favourite of mine. It's 2 Mules for Sister Sarah, which has been brought up by Northern Bastar.
Sorry, it's Sarah. It's Sarah, not Sarah.
Sister Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah's what I called her. Anyway.
Oh, back when it was GP.
Yeah, so Northern, you picked this. Is it? Have you just watched it for the first time?
No, I've seen it before. I usually used to come on the weekend, and watch it before I go out with the lads and have a few beers. It's one of those just classic westerns that doesn't get enough attention. You got Clint Eastwood playing his usual sort of brooding gunslinger type western badass, and he ends up kind of getting mixed up with this nun who kind of helps him along this journey where he ends up helping a bunch of rebels against kind of rebellion. And there's some real good chemistry with Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine, who's kind of this chalk and cheese type, but Shirley MacLaine isn't all she seems to make herself out to be, and there's little hints dropped by that are very cleverly done, and I can't really say anything more than just watch it, because it's, if you want a really cool Clint Eastwood western with some good banter with some very good actors who have some very good chemistry, then I would recommend this film. And you've got Ennio Morricone doing a fucking soundtrack always, and it's directed by Don Siegel. Is it Don Siegel? Who's
Don Siegel, yeah.
Who's,
this was
would work with a lot in the future.
Strangely enough, it was these were the movies. These were the kind of American takes on the spaghetti westerns that spelled the end of the spaghetti western. When Hollywood started doing spaghetti westerns, that was it. They were done. The Italians were done. But yeah, I mean, this is one of Morricone's greatest scores. It really is one of his absolute finest. And Don Siegel, probably, one of the greatest, one of a handful of really great action directors as well. Just superb.
Yeah. Who else has seen it? Has everyone on the panel seen it?
Yeah, I've seen
Donal reply at once.
The silence is deafening.
Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah.
Great recommendation.
Okay, so I've seen it. Inside Man has seen it. Northern's seen it. Enzo, have you seen it?
No, afraid not.
Okay, all right.
She's out.
I will.
Toxic, have you seen it?
He's urinating.
Oh, is he? Okay, all right. I'm sure he probably has. Yeah, I saw this when I was quite young.
Yeah.
And it was quite different to a lot of westerns I'd seen, and also the comedy stuff in it is really well played.
Look, I just gauge all Clint Eastwood movies to the best one. Is it as good or anywhere near as good as Paint Your Wagon? That's what I want.
That's it. Yeah. He doesn't sing in it this time.
Damn. I do.
I'm gonna say
unironically, I unironically love Paint Your Wagon. So
yeah,
it is a lot lighter than. Yeah, it is a lot lighter.
Yeah, maybe next week, but it isn't as heavy. It's a lighthearted Clint Eastwood comedy rom-com type western.
It is very light, but it's got a very violent ending. Though the battle at the end is pretty gruesome. People really get fucked up at the end. It's brilliant.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. So there she is, Shirley MacLaine in the bath, smoking a cigar. A bit like the Inside Man's typical Saturday night.
It is actually. It really is. That's not far short of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed. So, ratings out of 10 for this classic 1970s Western. Northern, you can go first. Again, Inside Man, this is not your moment to spin off on some philosophical tangent.
I will give it an 8 out of 10. It's not the greatest Clint Eastwood Western, but it's definitely one that's worth watching. If you want the best Clint Eastwood Western, then High Plains Drifter, the Dollars Trilogy, Unforgiven, and Outlaw Josie Wales are probably his best westerns in my view.
Agreed.
But this is still a fun one, and it's got plenty of good fun banter between him and Shirley MacLaine, and some good action.
8 out of 10. You were saying 8 out of 10? Yeah, that's also my rating for this one. 8 out of 10. It's got some epic action actually. Toxic. What's your rating?
I love it. It's one of the best classic westerns ever made.
Rating out of 10.
8 out of 10, boss.
8 out of 10. Okay, that's 3 for 3. Inside Man.
I'd give this one a 9. I mean, to be honest with you, the fact that it's got Clint Eastwood and, like I said, one of the best Morricone scores ever. It's just absolute kick-ass.
Yeah, it is a good Morricone score.
Yeah.
Remember it well. Okay. Enzo, I don't think you've seen this recently, or indeed perhaps ever.
No, I'll watch it later.
Okay, so that's a 10 out of 10 from Enzo. Excellent. Yeah. All right. Okay, good. People in the chat, if you've seen it, give us a rating out of 10. What do you think of this Eastwood classic? I quite like his expression in this shot. It's almost like he's suddenly seen his paycheck and he's disappointed. The accountants come in, the production's got to cut $500,000. Clint, your salary's going down. Drew Gordon gives it 6.5 out of 10. You've incurred Inside Man's wrath, even though you were supporting him earlier when I had to remove him. Okay, I'll see you. I didn't see Toxic's note about having a wee. Okay, Toxic, what's your pick this week? What you got?
Well, I've got a classic movie and I've got a semi-recent television series. My girlfriend's been on this kick on Netflix, watching all these British kind of mystery thriller type deals, and strangely enough, they're all based off of novels from my favorite author named Harlan Coben. Yeah. And I've got an
there's a load of those on Netflix. I saw one that was not bad.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys. So is that a thing? Is because the books, they're not British, but they've been like adapted and turned British. What?
Yeah, Netflix got a contract to develop several of them, I think, and now they're kind of. There have been Harlan Coben novels that have been made into original language films before, but now it's because he's such a big. He's an international bestseller crime novelist, so They know that he's a brand, he's an IP that can be sold internationally.
Right.
So,
But they've changed the narrative though for a lot, because I've read a lot of them. Like each week, she seems to have. I come over the house and she's got a new one going, and I'm like,
give me the one you want to talk. Give me the one you want to talk about.
The Stranger. It's down below if you want to pull it up.
Okay. I'm just getting up the IMDb as well.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one with is this the one with Richard Armitage?
I believe so. The basic story is this guy's there, middle. I really like it because Anthony Head is in it. Anthony Head played Giles in one of my favorite TV shows, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Plays his father. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's the usual Harlan Coben mystery. You think it's going one way, and there's this like dual mystery. People are not who they seem to be. You've got, female detective is, she's close to retirement, and they're looking into this missing supposed housewife, but she seems to have some mystery thing. And then there's this blackmail team that is going after people for a variety of things they want to blackmail them for. And this guy who I would assume he's some sort of attorney, or you guys call them solicitors over there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he seems to be pretty straightforward, but he's got secrets of his own, of course. And just, where is the wife? What has she gotten herself into? Why is there this blackmail team? How does it affect, a murder thing going on? A lot of character actors that you've seen in other stuff like Game of Thrones, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, some of these other Harlan Coben, BritBox mystery types pop up. And this is one of the more compelling ones. Like I said, she watches a new one literally every week. So I guess there's a lot of them. And this is one of the better ones. If you have the patience for it, it is limited. It's a limited series. They're all limited. None of them are like,
they're all self-contained stories, one season,
Right.
usually between 6 and 8 episodes.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
How many of them there are, I do not know. I'll have an answer maybe if she's on another one next week. And I, but she insisted, she was like, talk about this on Lance's show. So I was like, okay, I will. And it is good.
Can I ask, is that an exact replication of her voice?
Is she an old woman?
She is not. And if any of you out me on that, I'm going to kill you.
80 years.
But she's
ruined me.
I was quite a dish.
You're gonna get me into. She's actually a lot younger, as a matter of fact.
She's
yeah,
70.
she
She's
seems to really-
70. Get it right, Enzo.
She seems to really like these. Once she found like one of them that she liked, she's just like binging all of them. And so like she just, like I said, every single week there seems to be a new one. There seems to be like an endless supply of them. Be careful. I think some of these slides might give something away, Lance. I don't know if I don't know if that's a big deal.
Okay, well, we'll. Yeah, I have seen this. The Stranger.
okay.
I thought it was good. It definitely could have been 2 episodes shorter. But then it is probably this is someone who's not read the book, so it's probably 8 episodes long because it's probably being faithful to the book.
I think that they're pretty, except for them being British now. The ones that I've read the books for, and I've read a lot of the books, they are pretty faithful. Sometimes there's a little bit jarring because your cops don't really carry firearms over there and stuff, so that's kind of an interesting thing. So you don't see a lot of that, but then other times they do. So it's kind of hard to figure it out.
But they don't shoot live rounds though. It's just like little kind of pellets.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah,
Is
they're spud guns.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They what they do is they carry a potato around with them, right? And they dig the spud gun into the potato, and they just fire a little spud.
I guess I should have known. I guess I should. Yeah. You laugh, but that actually in the 70s used to be a thing that they put a potato in a sock, and it's actually a pretty good slapjack. So,
I remember that one.
All right.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
But then
what would you give this out of 10, mate?
I give it a good 7, even if you're not interested in it, and even if it was interesting to. I mean, I'm glad I read the book first. This was one of the ones that I actually read the book before watching it, so I thought it was pretty cool. We're not quite done with it yet, and she's been bugging me to spoil it, but I'd be interested to see if it finishes the same way the book does, because some of these have diverged a little bit from the source material. So
yeah, well, there you go. You can consider the source.
Yeah. Thank you for the plug on that one.
Yeah.
The other thing I got is a movie from '88 called Off Limits with Willem Dafoe and Gregory Hines, where they play criminal investigation detectives.
Which was released in the UK as Saigon, and I was working at the cinema when it was on.
Yeah, I got that picture for you actually below if you want to pull that up. And it's based on a true story of an officer that was murdering women of the night over there for some unknown reason, which does kind of get explained in the film. But I mean, it's like peak performances from Dafoe and Hines, really great, like buddy cop mystery thriller type thing. And the backdrop of them being in Saigon at the time is very interesting, because it's like they got to navigate all the stuff that you got to navigate in the Vietnam War, but also try to figure out this murder mystery at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think it's like peak. This is right after coming off of the other Vietnam movie he did. Geez Louise, why is that?
Well, Platoon had only been out about a year before this, I think.
Yeah. He was pretty familiar at that point. To me, I had never at this point seen Gregory Hines in anything else. I didn't know he had this big dance background and stuff. And then I saw him.
He did White Nights with Baryl Baryshnikov.
I didn't see
came
that.
out in 85, 86.
But this movie did the rounds on HBO and Cinemax back in the day. I think I was like 11 or 12. And, I just thought it was really cool. I think that kind of put the inception in my brain to become a military policeman later on. Kind of gave me that idea, because I didn't even know that was a thing. And I just thought it's a really good movie. It's really, really hard to find. I've got it on my Plex Pass. I went ahead and bought it. So it's definitely difficult. And it's really hard to even find clips for it. I want to do a review on it soon and kind of give it some attention, because I think it's one of those ones that kind of got lost in the 80s Vietnam films, because I think it's really, really good.
Yeah. It's also got Fred Ward, and it's got Scott Glenn and Amanda Page. You've got a pretty good supporting cast. Keith David's in there from They Live.
Yep.
It's worth your time. That's the original Cinema UK poster, and I used to have that poster on my wall in my bedroom for a while.
Well, I found that one because you said that I think I've mentioned this to you in the past, and you said it was under a different name, or I read it in your book. I can't remember. Either you mentioned it or something like that. But so I went and found that picture, and I thought you'd like it. Yeah,
thank you. Fantastic stuff. This film is not in my book, but I think it did get mentioned on my channel before, though.
I think so.
So that may be. Yeah. Okay. James Evans in the chat. Have any of you seen the 1991 film Let Him Have It with Christopher Eccleston? Yeah. His co-star in that, a British actor who kind of retired for a while, who plays the guy who says the line. Christopher Eccleston says the line, "Let him have it, Chris." He's the one who fires the gun. That actor was at Graham Fletcher Cook's funeral and after party drinks kind of thing, or after life celebration drinks. Sorry, it's like misuse of the phrase. He's Paul Reynolds, his name is, and I remember talking to him in the bar, and I was absolutely wankered because Graham's death. He was my acting coach, and it was sort of hit me quite hard. Most of us didn't know that he had cancer. This is Paul Reynolds. I really rate Paul as an actor, and one of the things I do remember, and it's one of the few things I remember, is that he was just saying to me he just got back into the industry and was doing a couple of projects. So it'd be great to, I don't know if any of those came to fruition, because within a year of that we were straight into lockdown. But I always thought he didn't get his due, really. Because he's as good an actor as Eccleston.
Yeah,
it's a good film.
It's an incredible film, I think. I mean, it's brilliantly directed by Peter Medak. Peter Medak did this straight after The Craze. And
Yeah, he used a lot of the same production team, I think.
Yeah. Also, Michael Caine scored this as well. So you had the same composer from The Craze as well. You know, I mean, this was shot in Liverpool. I mean, I worked on The Craze. That was kind of an early one for me. But this, I really rate this film. I really do rate this film because it's such a tragic story. You know, about somebody who really should have been pardoned. He really should have been given clemency.
Yeah.
And he was a young lad that just wasn't compos mentis. You know, he didn't have the kind of mental capacity to understand exactly what he was doing. I suppose nowadays, perhaps they would even call him, you know, put him on the autistic spectrum. You know, this, you know, it was so awful. You know, one of the worst tragic miscarriages of justice that this country's ever seen, to put this young boy to death for something that he never did. He didn't even have a hand in this crime. Although he was on the roof at the time, he was guilty by association, but he was actually in custody when the police officer was murdered by Christopher Craig. I mean, it's an amazing film. It really is an amazing film, and I think Eccleston really is just outstanding in this. Absolutely outstanding. I mean, it's
the film that launched his career.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation, James. That is a
great
good film.
recommendation. Yeah, it's a very good film.
Well worth people checking out if they haven't seen it. We talked about it briefly. I think I did it on one of my late night episodes. Who's been to see Warfare now?
I have.
I know Toxic's seen it. Anyone else apart from Toxic? Toxic, you came on and talked to me about it, I think.
I think I mentioned that I was gonna see it. Because I just saw it. So
yeah, I mean, again, this is another. It's great that we've had two really good movies this year: Sinners and Warfare. Warfare, I recommend. Got to see it in the cinema.
Is this the Alex Garland? It's the Alex Garland one.
Yes. Yeah. Almost shot in real time, based on a real episode about a platoon that gets kind of pinned down in the Middle East, and it's in it all goes to shit. It's pretty good. So Tox, what would you give this out of 10?
I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's one of those things where, you can tell the people that were involved in it actually did some time over there. So that lends, a lot of credibility to it. The ticking clock thing is kind of cool. It suffers some of the same tropes as a lot of those soldiers caught behind enemy lines things. But I mean, knowing that it's based on true events helps, the narrative and stuff like that. I really like all the actors that are in it. It kind of suffers from the thing where it's hard to differentiate them from each other a lot, because and that's a real thing. Everybody's got gear and kit on and ACH helmets and things like that. So it's not like the old Vietnam movies where a guy's got a mohawk and another guy's got a bandana, and everybody's kind of interchangeable. So that could have been done a little bit better. But for everybody that was there, and I mean, if you've been in combat, you've seen these kind of things, it's a bit of a tough watch a lot of the times, because it'll bring you back there. Yeah. I'd probably rate it. It's pretty high up there with like Black Hawk Down and American Sniper.
Yeah, I'd put it on par with Black Hawk Down for sure.
Yeah,
I mean it's a smaller event. So that maybe doesn't have quite the same epic scale, but
right. I think Black Hawk Down. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, action scenes wise, I think they're just as tense. And
I think Black Hawk Down maybe did a better job of fleshing out the characters and letting you know who it is that you were dealing with. But again, this is a real stripped down story. I think it's supposed to take place in 90 minutes, and it actually does. So it's got a lot of that. I'm glad they took the time to have the boredom of nothing happening and then everything's insane I like that, and there's some really epic scenes when some of the people get wounded and are under heavy fire. So it's a good watch. I'm probably going to watch it again tonight while I'm on duty, and just give it another look and maybe do a review on it if Blue Collar wants to talk. If he hasn't already, I'm not sure.
Okay. Anybody else seen it? Got any things to add?
I have not.
No, but
No, not a chance to watch it yet.
I think
Okay.
Alex Garland's really, really sort of on fire at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he is very much so. Yeah, he does seem to be on a bit of. I quite enjoyed Civil War. We've talked about that before, and
Yeah.
so I think one of the combat advisors on that was connected to these events, and that's how the ball got rolling on.
I got to get a job as a combat advisor or something, or at least like a prison advisor or something on prison movies or something, man. I need to get in there on that.
Yeah, I think that was there's a lot of people that have muscled in on that, and some of them are more qualified than others. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Warfare. I guess a 9 out of 10 from me as well. So it's another strong recommendation.
Lance, that one guy, he's a British actor, right? Isn't he like a British actor?
Will Poulter is a British actor, and I've met him. Yeah, very much so. He's a great actor. Inside Man, it is your time. What you got?
Well, the first one I'm going to go for is, as it was Easter, I decided to watch Ben-Hur.
Oh my God!
Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur, and wow, what a movie this is! It's it's as spectacular as it ever was. It's lost nothing over the years. It's a staggering film. I mean, obviously, when you look at the amount of Oscars that this, I think it was 11 or 13 or something like that.
It got the same number as Return of the King. I think that was the first time.
Yeah. But the problem is that the Oscars, I mean, it's incomparable really, because the amount of Oscars that Return of the King actually received, a lot of these were modern categories, like special visual effects and so on and so on. But all of these were actual sort of craft, real craft categories. But I mean, it amazes me every time I watch this film that these sets were constructed, that these were real sets, And have you lost me at all? Because I can't hear anything.
I'm listening.
I can hear you.
All right, sorry. Yeah, sorry. These sets are among the best movie sets ever constructed. You're going to be hard pressed to find anything that looks as good as this. But I think what was quite interesting was that you obviously have the chariot race, which is the classic scene. Now there's all these myths surrounding the chariot race. One of the charioteers has got his wristwatch on, and so many people were seriously injured in it, and one guy died, and they actually kept it in the movie. There were a myriad of myths that are surrounding the chariot race.
Were any of those true? I remember hearing about some of that.
Absolutely none of them are true. And there's another one. There's a couple of Coke bottles, in the background with the extras and everything. Completely untrue. None of them are true, because these filmmakers were really, really on the ball. Filmed at Cinecittà, and they actually excavated a quarry for the circus scenes, for the chariot races. So they excavated a quarry, and it stood there for quite some time. In fact, the statues that they used, that were in various scenes, were still standing. They were still there up until recently. And in fact, I think it was Arthur Max that actually had a lot of them recast, the statues recast for the first Gladiator movie. So they were actually recast and redone by the same guy. Sorry, the son of the guy who did the original ones for Ben-Hur. But it was the stunt coordinator was Yakima Kanat, the famous, probably the biggest legend in stunt work. but it's just an amazing story. Regardless of whether you have any kind of faith or belief in any kind of religion or anything, it's still a beautiful story. And the scenes on the triremes as well. When they get attacked, and the boat starts to sink, and it's just, I mean, everything about it is the movie screams spectacle. It's just an incredible piece of work, and it's very difficult to find something that really does that could come up against this and equal it. It's brilliant. It's the best adaptation that there's ever going to be.
I watched this a couple of years ago, and it does still hold up well, especially the stunts in the chariot
goodness
race.
Me. Yeah.
I mean, that chariot race would probably be 2/3 less time in a modern version.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then wasn't there a mini-series remake not that long ago?
Yeah. I think there's been 6 adaptations of the story. Obviously, the first one was in the 1920s, which again is a formidable film. It's what a piece of work that is. It's part of the double disc set on the Blu-ray, and that's worth watching. But this version it's something else. Most people have probably seen this movie because it's always on every Easter. But I watched it on Blu-ray, and it's an incredible piece of work. I mean, the artistry that went into making this movie, even if you take out the writing and the acting and the music and the stunts, the sheer artistry that went into making this movie is just exceptional.
I don't know why this extra is looking at Charlton Heston with such strange, salacious intentions in the back of this photo.
He's looking at you, Lance. He's looking at you.
I think not. Paul Smith likes Spartacus better than Ben-Hur. I have to say, of the two films, I have rewatched Spartacus more times.
I prefer Ben-Hur personally. I mean, I love Spartacus. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. There's something about Ben-Hur that really does something for me. Although Peter Ustinov in Spartacus is incredible. I love Peter Ustinov. But
good to see Dark Hour in the chat. I did notice the Mexican/Spanish version of him earlier.
Wait, that was Dark Hour?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That mustache was hilarious.
So, okay. Ratings out of 10 for this version of Ben-Hur. I'm sure most people will have seen. I've got to give it a 10.
Yeah, it has to be a 10. It's one of the greatest films. Yeah, it's one of the greatest films. Yeah, it's one of the greatest films ever made, I think. Yeah.
Have we lost Northern Bastard?
He had a family. He had a family emergency. He had to jump off, Lance.
God damn! My guests keep having family emergencies during my stream. I hope this isn't a coincidence. That's absolutely fine. Of course, if you ever need to jump off in a hurry, as I may do if I pass out.
The mute button, use it.
I know. Well, I was in the middle of talking. It was a bit difficult.
Dark mode. Also dark mode is another thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's I like the fact that upsets you, so I'm going to keep that.
It wasn't just me. I saw someone in the chat earlier today saying, "Nah, my eyes."
Yeah, I saw that. Okay. Enzo, do you have a rating for Ben-Hur?
10 out of 10. It's obviously
great.
One of the great movies for movie people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it came from an age when Hollywood really knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing.
Toxic. Inside Man. I think you had one other film you were gonna.
Yeah, the other one is another classic, Lawrence of Arabia.
Nice.
Yeah,
Blimey, we need. I mean, we're not doing these justice by giving them brief mentions, and I think we have mentioned Lawrence of Arabia has been mentioned on the Nielsen ratings before. I can't remember which episode. quite a while ago, I think, because I remember talking about it. Because I went to, do you remember Inside Man? I think it was around, I want to say around 2001. They did a restored print. It got a cinema release.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was on it. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it went on tour. You're right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, it went on tour, and it was on at the Odeon Marble Arch, which is the same cinema I saw Aliens in. I saw Aliens there. I saw Total Recall there. I saw RoboCop there. I saw Basil the Great Mouse Detective there. I saw Willow there. And I have tickets for all of these. That's why I can remember. And when Lawrence of Arabia was re-released, you know, I'd seen it, but as a kid, and I think it's one of those films where, because it's so long, you know, and there's huge gaps between the action. As a kid, you can get disengaged from it quite easily, and I wanted to see it in the cinema, so I made a point of going to watch it at the Odeon Marble Arch. I'm so glad I did. It was so good there, and actually, this is one of the first films that I sat down with my ex-partner to watch, and she really liked it. She'd never seen it, so yeah.
You should do a whole thing on this sometime, Lance.
No, I will do. I'll do a Chew the Fat on it at some point.
Chew the Fat, yeah. You know whose favorite film this is? You'd be shocked. That young guy, Box Office Brawler, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he's an old man in a young person's body,
right?
Yeah,
because I take the piss out of him about being, you know, a little amoeba, but he's like, well, Toxic, my favorite movie of all time is Lawrence of Arabia. I could talk for hours about it. I was like, oh, okay.
Actually, yeah, well, we'll do a Chew the Fat on it. We'll get him on the panel for that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sounds
I think
good.
Lawrence
And
of
it's got a
Arabia is my
great
favorite
cast.
out of, like, you know, you got Spartacus and Ben-Hur, and I think Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Olivier, the biopic.
Lawrence of Arabia is damn amazing movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is a good film.
And I just
do like
adore
the
that.
cast.
I'd love that speech that he gives when he comes back through the Nefut Desert and gets back to the British base, and he walks in with Gazim into the bar. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just a beautiful little speech that he gives when, you know, he says about the drinks for him. Yeah, it's an incredibly touching movie. But what a performance by Peter O'Toole. I mean, again, you know, this was one of those movies that it was made for him. But what was interesting was that Robert Bolt actually wrote this screenplay whilst he was in prison. So he was incarcerated. Right. He was incarcerated at the time because he was quite an anarchist, Robert Bolt, you know, who also penned Man for All Seasons. So he was actually in prison while he was writing this, and they didn't know whether they could actually get him out, you know, whether he could come out and, you know, finish the script. But he was you know, finishing off writing it whilst he was inside. Yeah, just one of the great movies of all time. Again, it's one that I marvel at every single time I watch this film, and I see something completely new every single time. I love it.
Yeah, it is a film rich in detail. The production design in this film is just, I mean, well, all departments, but particularly the production design, incredible stuff.
I think I love it when you know, they're shooting this stuff on this beautiful kind of you know, virgin desert sand, and of course, you know, they have to go for a second take, and of course when they go for a second take, they got all the footprints on the sand, so they had a team of people that were going over all of the sand to cover up the footprints, you know, with like these blowers and these fans and everything to try and.
But who covers up that team's footprints? How does that work?
Pardon?
Who covers up that team's footprints?
With they work backwards, so they work backwards and then end up over the dune. So incredible. It's an incredible film. Every single member of the cast is fantastic. I mean, I know in recent years a lot of people have argued about some of the race swap characters, like Alec Guinness and Anthony Quinn. But look, they're actors, they're playing parts. But yeah, wonderful piece of work. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Good recommendation. I think it's probably going to be 10 out of 10 across the board from everyone.
Yeah. Definitely a 10. Yeah. It's one of my favourite films of all time.
Yeah. Fabulous. Mine as well. A 10 out of 10 from everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that, sometimes when you ask somebody about a classic film and they say something like, well, it's Citizen Kane for me or this or that or something, you're just like, dude, you're being pretentious. But when someone says it's Lawrence of Arabia, it's probably pretty accurate. It's not just someone putting on airs or whatever.
You need to be friends with that person as opposed to the person who said Citizen Kane. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not bashing Citizen Kane, but you know what I mean? Like when someone brings up some classic movie from the zeitgeist, but when it's Lawrence of Arabia, I mean, you could put that on for anybody. You could put it on for a Gen Z kid, and if you could take their iPad or phone away from them for a few hours, they'll definitely enjoy it. It's still sweeping. I'd give anything to have seen it in the theater. I hope they do another cleaned up re-release. That would be so epic. That's probably my only complaint is I've never gotten a chance to see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
This was the film where David Lean and Steven Spielberg actually fell out, didn't they? Because
really?
he brought Spielberg in, to try and restore some of the other footage and restore the restoration cut and everything. But they had a massive falling out.
I never heard that.
Yeah, huge falling out, and they never spoke for a good.
Do you know what
years.
was the falling out over?
It was to do with Spielberg's take on how the additional stuff should have been cut in, because he was working on the new cut with the restored footage, and David Lean just completely disagreed with him. Though I don't know why it wasn't handed over to David Lean. I have no idea why.
Maybe it's because of his age and whatnot. Because he was getting on a bit by then.
He was. But again, another great score. Maurice Jarre, fantastic score.
Yeah. Okay. Well, from Lawrence of Arabia to this 70s classic, which I'm going to mention very briefly. So, by the way, we have the answer to that question. Spielberg wanted to replace the guns with radios. I think that's more George Lucas's department, mate. But I appreciate the pun, and welcome to the chat, Thomas. This is an older film. It's not quite up there with Lawrence of Arabia. I saw this. I see Critical Drinker was doing a special happy hour on Lone Wolf McQuade earlier this evening. And that reminded me that I had actually seen Lone Wolf McQuade in the cinema. And but this was in the 80s, where in the early 80s especially, it was quite common for, and I mentioned this in my book, it was quite common for two films to be packaged together. Usually one of them hadn't done very well. There was a new one coming out and they would stick them both together, and they probably hadn't done that well in the States. And, they would throw them out as a double bill. And I got to see this movie called Dixie Dynamite with Warren Oates. And this was around the time, this movie came out around the time that Dukes of Hazzard was popular and was on TV.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically about a corrupt sheriff who kills the dad of these two girls. And they decide to take over his moonshine business. And there's a lot of riding around on bikes and people chucking sticks of dynamite at each other and blowing people up. This film is kind of like a curiosity, right? Because most people haven't heard of it. This is not a recommendation necessarily. It's one of those ones where it's more like, I mean, this is the sort of film that Quentin Tarantino probably would be able to talk about this film for about half an hour, because it'd be one of those that he would know everything about. It's a solid B movie, action comedy, nothing more, and packaged together with Lone Wolf McQuade, which is, not exactly a grade A film either. Made for a really interesting double bill, but at the time, and also both of these films I think were double A's, so 16 ages or above. I got in to see this when I was like 13, so that was good news for me. Because I sort of thought, oh great, I'm seeing a film I'm not supposed to watch. But it's an odd film, but not without its fun moments. So again, if you're a fan of the original release date for this was 1976, but I saw it in the 80s, early 80s. So if you're a fan of that kind of thing, maybe give it a go. So
it's not a bad film. It isn't a bad film. It's kind of these days it's considered to be in the sort of exploitation genre. It isn't a bad movie. It's fun. It pretty much does what it says on the tin. It's not Citizen Kane, but
no, I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Yes, that's fair.
And that's a generous 6 out of 10. I think 3 of those points are scored by one of the actresses' legs, as displayed on the poster. Stupenzo, Toxic, have you seen it?
Nope.
Did not see it. Sorry, did not see it.
All right, we'll move on and talk about a Rodney Dangerfield classic that's been picked by Stupenzo this week. Go for it, sir.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about these movies in ascending order of quality and talk about these first 2 briefly.
Okay, well, tell me, give me the titles of the other ones.
First one I watched was another African-American horror film set in the course of a day. It was all right. It was called Woman in the Yard. It wasn't as terrible as I heard it was going to be. It was not bad, but not a lot happens in it. It's one of those allegorical horror movies that like a first-year scriptwriter comes up with, but it was done really well. It had some great little spooky factors. I don't know if it's going to hold up a second viewing. To be honest, it didn't really do much for me the first viewing. It was fine. Some neat little stuff here. I don't want to spoil about what it's actually about. You figure it out. It's pretty on the nose. Basically the literal plot of the movie is you've got a black family, a woman and 2 kids who the woman's in like a big leg brace and the father's dead, presumably from a car accident that the mom was in. And they're kind of reeling from that. And the power in the house is out. They have bills to pay. The mortgage is due. And for some reason, this woman is in the yard with a black shroud over her. And it just gets creepy from there. It was okay. It was not bad. I'd give it like a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's a Blumhouse movie, so it wasn't great, but it was a lot more reserved and less ridiculous. Yeah, Get Off My Lawn, the movie, really. It's one of those movies where it's like, why, if I was there, like, I don't think this would be a movie. I think,
right.
I just got outside with a firearm or something. Get off my property. So it was okay.
This just showed up in my Plex Pass. I was actually curious about that.
It's worth a watch. It's nowhere near as good as Sinners. Sinners was actually really fun and worth rewatching. This is I don't know. Check it out so you can kind of learn what the movie's actually about. The big twist of obviously, like, it's kind of like the Babadook, where you realize like, the movie's actually about this woman dealing with the death of her husband. It has nothing to do with like a monster. It's the same thing basically.
Okay.
So could the sequel to this be called The Corpse on My Lawn?
No, she's not a corpse. She's like a creepy lady who starts like
that's after you've come out with a shotgun and blown her away. That'd be the sequel.
No, the trespasser on the yard. That's what we call it. No, Darth Plato talking about creepy scarecrows, bro. There are these new scarecrows that are like on springs, and they like move around like a freaking inflatable tube, man. You know, it is creepy, dude. They look great. That's like the next generation scarecrow.
That would have made that Patricia Arquette episode
Tales
of
from the Crypt
Tales from the Crypt a lot different, wouldn't it?
I don't think you could be like a random dude and get on one of these coil scarecrow posts. You know, it's creepy. But anyway, second movie I watched is a documentary. It was actually really fun. It's called Not Just a Goof, and it's about the making of the Goofy movie. And it was really interesting because, you know, I wasn't the biggest Goofy movie fan ever. I liked it, but, you know, there are some people out there where it's their favorite Disney movie. Like, they grew up watching it, they loved it. Typically, these are kids who have, like, come from broken homes, you know, or mom and dad are divorced or whatever. They talk about that in the documentary. But basically, the guy who made the documentary is, like, the son of, like, a producer in Disney. Like, his dad had direct involvement with the movie. He might have directed it, if I'm misremembering. But what's interesting about a Goofy movie was, like, you have to understand this is during the Disney Renaissance period, and they're coming out with all these banger animated movies, and somewhere in the bowels of the production company, they're deciding, hey, let's make a movie about one of our staple characters, and they got this crazy idea to make it like an actual, like, kind of flesh out Goofy and make him like an actual, like, relatable, like, father figure, and make the movie have like some core, like, values and lessons. And you know, at the time, the president, CEO of Disney was I can't remember his name, but he was the guy in charge of Little Mermaid and all that stuff, and
Eisner?
Lion King. Eisner, yes, and he left and got replaced. And, you know, after he got replaced, like, everyone was kind of like, why are you making this Goofy movie? The Goofy movie wasn't getting as much attention. It was actually a lot of hardship to make that movie, and it did not do well in the theaters, and it did even worse, like, critically. But the documentary focuses on all those hardships making it, but also, like, this immense fan base that Goofy movie has acquired over the years, especially because of the video market. And, you know, this movie is just like, people are talking about how it's one of the more relevant Disney movies today. Like, people still understand the references, like the Power Line and Leaning Tower of Cheesa and all that stuff. And, you know, they were talking about how they had a convention where they were going to screen the Goofy movie, and some of the people involved in the movie were going to be there, and they were shocked that the convention theater was packed and there was a line outside the auditorium, and, you know, not everyone could be seated. They realized, like, oh, this movie's, like, actually still really great. And all the YouTube tribute videos that people have put up, like, there's, like, live action reenactments of the music numbers and stuff like that. It's really cool. There's some great anecdotes about how they showed up. The new CEO of Disney wanted the guy who does the Goofy voice. He shows up and he's doing Goofy the whole movie, and they're saying, like, wow, we don't like that he's doing the Goofy voice the whole movie. It's kind of annoying. So maybe he can just talk normally. And they're like, are you serious? You know, it's a terrible idea. And they're like, yeah, I think this is going to work. So what he did was he actually did re-record almost most of the movie with his actual natural voice, just so they could show it to the producer and tell him this is a terrible idea. So that's the kind of stuff they had to go through. They were remodeling the Disney studios when they made it, so they had to go into they had to move their animation studio into like basically like a janitor's closet for a period of time, where like there's like leaks and stuff, and it's like what the hell? There was a lot of crazy stuff going on in this movie. So if you're a fan of Goofy movie, definitely check out this documentary. I'd give it a good 7 out of 10. It's fun. It's a very niche.
Now, I have to ask, does it come out in the documentary that this guy at the back has a dead cat on his head?
No, no. In fact, I don't even know if that's a real human. That could be a cutout. I don't know. It does look weird.
Does look weird, doesn't it? The hair looks like it's been drawn on.
Bafflingly
What's going on
strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good movie. But you know what? I did watch last night randomly. It's on YouTube, available for free. Rodney Dangerfield was in a movie, and it is aged terrifically with today's athletic climate. I'm talking about, of course, the movie starring Jonathan Brandis, Ladybugs. This movie, I rewatched it last night. I used to watch it a lot as a kid. It is so much funnier as an adult. It is, it's a hard PG-13, I mean, there's definitely some borderline inappropriate jokes that would not fly today that definitely had me laughing my ass off. But in case you guys haven't seen this, definitely check it out. Rodney Dangerfield is, of course, a guy who gets no respect. He's a salesman, and he's trying to get a promotion. Yeah,
What?
he does do a lot of his classic Rodney Dangerfield shtick, but it is so it works in this movie. I don't know, his one-liners are hilarious. They're terrific. But basically, he plays this character named Chester, who is a salesman. He's trying to get a promotion at this big company he works for, and he's not really gonna get the promotion. But he overhears that his boss sponsors a girls' soccer team, and he's got this. He lies and says he used to play soccer and volunteers to be the coach under the agreement that if he can get their team to a championship, then he'll definitely get that promotion. But what's hilarious is the team it's a rebuilding year, so like there's only one player that was like on the team before. Everyone else is playing like for the first time. They're all a bunch of nerdy girls who aren't good at soccer. They suck. His future stepson, Jonathan Brandis, his girlfriend's son, he's actually very athletic. He plays soccer, and he was kicked off the team because he's just a slacker and he's getting bad grades. So Chester, yeah, this is a spoiler, obviously, but yeah, he wants him to help him, like, come see the game, come see them practice, and come up with some pointers. And he actually happens to have a crush on one of these girls in the team, who is, that babe from Hills Have Eyes remake and a bunch of other stuff, Eyes Wide Shut. She's a young little teenager in this one.
Vanessa Shaw.
There you go. He's got a crush on her, so he's like, "Oh, I'll watch some more sports. I'll watch some more soccer. Give you guys some more pointers." And he makes the stupid mistake of telling his stepdad, Rodney Dangerfield, "If I was playing, I would put the ball here, and I would do this, and I would do that if I was playing." So Rodney Dangerfield gets this like insane idea to have him cross-dress and pretend to be a girl, so he can, help guide their team to victory. And of course,
you could say, in a way, this film was ahead of its time because it was taking on the
it is
sort of
so ahead of its time.
Trans rights sports debate,
dude.
And,
Yeah, and it's actually very pretty based because basically his kid shows up on the soccer team and starts just, kicking ass. In fact, they have to make it a point to say, "Hey, you have to dial it down when you're Martha." First of all, you need to be a team player. You can't just be scoring all the points. You got to let the girls feel included. And second of all, you have to act like a lady. You can't be, flipping off the referee and slapping other players' asses, saying good going, hot stuff. There's some great gags in this movie. But like, even though I can spoil the whole movie, like obviously, Jonathan Brandis, he can't play the final round, and it doesn't matter because they don't need Martha. They had it all in them. They had it in them all along, to win the big game. I can spoil the whole movie, and it doesn't matter because the one-liners Rodney Dangerfield gives throughout the whole movie, like I'm talking, he gives out one a minute. It's so rapid fire, right. And dude, it is so many of them land. I was laughing my ass off by myself last night in the middle of the night. Very funny movie. Watch it on
YouTube for free
right now. Yeah, after this thing. And Jonathan Brandis was excellent in Sidekicks. That was one of the first we watches we did. I think that was number 3.
R.I.P. Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah, Chuck Norris.
He allegedly offed himself because he was a side effect to severe depression from taking Accutane, acne medication.
Well, that's
he had problems for a long time. It's so sad because I felt like, because he and I are the same age, or we would be, and I always felt like I grew up with him. I've seen, including this, I've seen, of course, he was the main character in Stephen King's It, and just a bunch of other stuff.
Story 2.
Yeah, and
Sequest.
Sequest
DSV. Yeah.
And I always felt like I kind of grew up with him, and he was, that the original floppy-haired actor, Dreamboat. The Zach Morris. He walks so Zach Morris could run, type thing. And man, God, he just it's so weird. I saw his last film very recently. It's like a zombie type film or whatever, horror, kind of low budget dealio, and he's like the best thing in it, actually. But man, God, R.I.P. Jonathan Brandis, blast from the past.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I remember when he passed, and which is it was 2003, and working in the industry as I was then and still am now. I was a big fan of his Toxic, so I asked my American contacts, what's the story? What fucking happened? And so what I heard was, apart from that, he went through a bad breakup, which he never really got over. I think that was to Tatiana Ali. He was, his career had a bit of a lull, and he did a movie called Heart's War with Bruce Willis, and he had a pretty significant role in it, and that role was cut to ribbons. And so when the film was released, he was barely in it. I mean, literally, he's only in it for a few seconds. So I think that and some other things. It's a shame because, a lot of actors go through lulls, but then, they sort of get a second life at things like, Comic-Cons weren't as big then. They're massive now. I mean, he could easily make a decent living just by turning up at Comic-Cons and signing photos and doing pictures, and he was only 27, man. I mean, it's,
Well, also, Rodney Dangerfield was surprisingly endearing in this movie. There was a lot of it's a lot of gags and a lot of lowball humor, a lot of low-hanging fruit, if you will. But there's some good lessons and morality stories. It is a movie for kids, kind of all ages. But yeah, there's a great line where he says to his boss, like, this was like, it's so funny because it's a great line, but it's in the movie Ladybugs. And he's like, what's the point of being the best if it brings out your worst? Like what's so good about being the best at it if it's gonna bring out the worst in you? And it's like, yeah, man, profound. But it's it's a stupid movie about girls soccer team. But yeah, it was a good movie. And Chester, he's very There's a part where he teaches the nerdy girl to have more confidence, that she's actually very beautiful, Let your hair down. Take off those glasses, And I'm sure today someone would find it problematic for whatever reason, but it's like, no, it's a sweet movie. It's a sweet scene, There are some scenes that are insanely problematic in this movie, though. And I was laughing my ass off. There's the part where he's telling he's gonna go have Jonathan Brandis try on some girl clothes, and he's like says to the lady at the store, it's like, oh, it's his twin sister, I just want to see what it would look like on him. And there's like a woman outside the dressing room as he's like in there helping him get in this dress. And what is he saying? He's saying something like he's like, I can't, like the son's like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this, and he's like, don't worry, it's gonna be all right. He's like, it's too tight. He's like, well, that's all right. You'll get used to it. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's horrific. Don't worry. I'll be finished soon. Okay, take it easy. That hurts. Don't worry. If it's too tight, you'll get used to it. That's when the woman, he comes out, and it's like obviously a cross-dressing boy or a girl, and Rodney Dangerfield, he comes right up to that woman's little girl. He's like, hi there, cutie. Aren't you a little sweetheart? And then she just like literally faints. Like, great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah,
and I keep calling him Chesterfield because that's what the son calls him, like derogatorily, Chesterfield.
Well, Jonathan Brandis had a thing where he would do that in a lot of different movies, according to IMDb trivia and stuff. Add field onto somebody's name or something like that.
Weird.
And the characters.
Really?
Yeah. Go to the IMDb page for this. It's got some pretty interesting facts. Lance, can I ask? I know you. Once we get done talking about something, you don't want to go back, but I forgot to ask a question. Is it okay? I'll be really brief on
well, I don't know. I just have to mention this first. There is a new teaser trailer for Alien Earth, which is dropping on FX Hulu. I can't remember which channel it's gonna drop on. Is it Disney?
Hulu.
I think Disney's getting it.
Yeah, Hulu.
Yeah, but in the UK, I think it might be on a different channel.
Yeah, Disney
anyway.
owns Hulu, I think. So.
Yeah. So it's going to be Disney in the UK. I haven't got any inside information on this show. Does anyone? I mean, I don't have high hopes, but I'm not going to brag on it because I don't know.
I do, but I
Yeah.
can't say. I
mean,
can't.
I'm sure everyone says the same thing. How it's like, why is this taking place before the first Alien movie?
Yeah.
Like, the idea of aliens on Earth is cool, but like, why are we retconning?
Right.
Is it taking place before? Hang on, is it taking place before Alien?
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
So you're telling me before the whole
Yeah.
LV-247 fiasco, you're telling me xenomorphs have already been on Earth?
Well, not once. If you believe Alien.
Oh yeah, the
Predator,
AVP movies. Yeah, it's been happening for twice.
But 3 times now.
Yeah.
So, okay, well that's already put me off, which is a shame because I thought it was going to.
I mean, I'll check it out for sure.
I probably will check it out too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's too early to tell because even this new trailer like doesn't really give out a lot of footage. It's
no, there's very little footage.
It's like a National Geographic parody kind of thing.
I was more checking to see if we had any inside information about what it might be like. Not directed at anyone.
NDA, bro. NDA.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess not. Let's move on. Toxic. What did you want to mention?
Just really quickly, when you went to the theater to see Sinners, did you have to get a brief warning from the ticket taker or the manager before you went in there to say no?
No.
What kind of warning?
No warning of any kind.
So I went to see this in there's 2 different towns in Kansas that I live and work in that are like 40 minutes apart, and both times I had to listen to the manager read from a script saying this movie is set in a problematic time.
Oh my god!
Yeah, no, I swear.
No one in England cares.
What theater were they both the same? Were they the same theater chain?
No, and that's the no. One was sorry, you okay?
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, one was B&B Theater here in Leavenworth, and the other one was Regal Southwind out in Lawrence, Kansas, and both. And Lawrence is considered very progressive, so I was shocked that they did it there.
What was like the temperature of the room when someone comes out and says something like that? Does everyone laugh?
No, they won't. No, it's worse, bro. They won't let you buy when you purchase the ticket. They won't hand it to you until they read you the thing that says this. You need to acknowledge that this is set in a problematic time where racial tensions are yada yada yada. Like this.
I can tell you exactly why they're doing this. There's only one reason why they would do this is because people have demanded refunds because of some offensive movie.
Right. And I asked both. I said, well, the first time I was like, are you serious with this? Like, why is this? And they're like, well, we've had a lot of walkouts because the N-word gets used and people are offended. So management has made us do this. And then when they did it, and B&B is a much smaller theater. And I asked to say, when they were doing it, I was rolling my eyes and I was like, listen, they're like, listen, we can't sell you the ticket unless you listen to this. And so when they were done, I was like, listen, if someone was going to be offended, would this help? Would this stop it? And they're like, no, but management believes this covers us. I was like, for what? Like, what would it cover you for? If someone was going to just choose to be offended, how would this deter him?
I'm thinking it's something more malicious where it's like they're doing it to cover their ass because it's kind of like, when people like eat like 3/4 of a meal and they say, oh, this isn't what I wanted. I want a refund. And send it. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if people were literally watching like the whole movie and coming out and demanding refunds because of quote unquote offensive, and not necessarily for this movie. I'm sure they did it for other movies or something. I don't know. That's the only reason why I could think you're actually doing this for some kind of financial incentive because you're trying to protect your ass.
Well, I've worked in a theater, and I've obviously been going to movies all of my life. I've never been subjected to even in the
I thought you were gonna get like a Minecraft warning about like, hey, don't throw popcorn and bring chickens in the theater for Sinners or whatever. I thought you were gonna say like that warning is spread to all the movies now. I was like, wow, but this is even more crazy.
We did not have that warning in the UK. I'm very pleased we didn't have that warning in the UK. I probably would have said some expletives like stop fucking nannying me, go away. So
I should have asked that while we were still talking. That's my bad, Lance. I forgot.
No, that's okay. I think I'm glad you asked to bring it up because it's a pretty interesting. Excuse me, I'm dying again.
It's okay.
Interesting
It's okay.
thing.
Just drink some water.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that's even happening. I mean, I just find it incredible. Okay, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up there while I'm still here and breathing. So yeah, coming up next on the channel, I think we will be bringing back our Sunday production later on next month. So there won't be any Sunday streams for the rest of April. We've got another bank holiday coming up. I don't want to start something and then have to interrupt it. So just industry interviews and the Nielsen ratings at the moment. I've got another couple of industry interviews coming up. They'll be announced on the channel as soon as the dates are locked in. Also, if you are somebody who needs something promoting, then don't be afraid to get in touch with me. Now, this just in, Stupenzo mentioned earlier these new forms of scarecrows on strings.
Did you get a video one? Hell yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, bro. There's a whole lot of creepy stuff you can do with them.
Fuel.
I've seen this is actually this is like cool, like kind of birthday pinata kind of vibe. I've seen ones that are like, what the hell? I would freak out if I was in a crop field and I saw, that like freaking around.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you were like you went into a crop field at night. I don't know why, but it happens in movies a lot, and you saw one of them. That would fucking freak the shit out of me.
Well, I do.
But that being said, I would recommend the Tales from the Crypt episode on YouTube that Toxic was talking about called Four-Sided Triangle with Patricia Arquette and a scarecrow, and that's a good one. That was one of the more like, less supernatural Tales from the Crypt episodes. It's really good.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll probably do a scarecrow special, maybe at Halloween. Who knows? I feel like this is a topic I want to pick up at some point. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Just going to give my guests a quick chance to plug anything. Stupenzo, you got anything coming up you want to plug real quick?
I think I'm going to be on Nadia's show in about 2 hours to talk about Sinners again, but I'm going to give detailed notes on like 3 or 4 things that I would have switched around or changed to make it literally a perfect movie. But
nice.
That'll be fun. Nice. And then also after that, I think I'm going to go live on my show, do Stupenzo Cast, and talk about watch some weird shit again. So, I mean, tune into that around, I guess it'll be whenever Gooch's show wraps up, his makeup stream, Tuesday, Gooch-anese, whatever it is he's doing. Makeup stream from Sunday is what he's doing. And that starts, that should be over around 10:30-ish, 11, 10, I don't know, somewhere around that time, Central Standard Time. Other than that, tomorrow, oh my God, me and Scooby Pup watched Tammy and the T-Rex, continuing our crappy dinosaur movie streak. So the R-rated Tammy and the T-Rex full-length commentary with me and Scooby Pup tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Nice.
Join us in the premiere if you want to help us like riff it in the chat as well, or otherwise just watch it any other time this week after it comes out. So that's fun. And yeah, I think I also might be on Reality Based Friday and maybe Sammy's new show Sunday. I don't know. I'm whoring myself out this week.
You whore.
Well, good to hear. Yeah.
Also, I'm 15 subs away from 600, which means I'm going to throw a karaoke party once that happens. So
nice.
Also, I did get monetized also, which is weird. So ignore that. I just want to get to 600 so I can do some karaoke.
All right. So give Stupenzo a sub if you haven't already. Tox, anything you want to plug?
Yeah, just I'll be also on Nadia's channel tomorrow. We are doing The Last of Us. She'll be doing 2 episodes at a time, so I guess it's going to be bi-monthly. And then Friday we are resuming. She's back from Nevada, or back from the big party thing they had with Vex and a few of our other circle of streamers. So we'll be back on Friday night to talk about season 2 of Stranger Things. I think we're midway through that terrible season right now. I have a project. I have a Sinners review that I'm pretty proud of. I thought it was pretty good. That's on my channel currently. And it is a spoiler review. So, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, do that first and then watch my review, or just watch the half that's non-spoilery. And I have sent copies of my book out to a couple people who I will be enlisting, including Northern English Bastard and Miss Jennifer Sparkles, who is also in our little circle. And they are going to be helping me do a audio version book free on YouTube of my book. They're going to be reading parts from it. So kind of a stage play type thing. So I'll be getting that worked up here before the end of the month.
Hey, that sounds pretty cool. If you need some actor types to come in and read some parts for you on that one,
I would
look no further.
Any help. Yeah, any help. I'm willing to, gratis a copy of my book, or give it to you on digits if you're overseas or something like with Luke, Northern English Bastard. I'd love any help. Anyone who wants to feel they have a good, decent voice and read fairly decent and read my horrible script and my shitty dialogue and wants to help me propel the book a little farther, because the next book is coming out soon, and I'm trying to get some cross promotional thing going on. So I've seen that done on YouTube, but unfortunately on YouTube a lot of it's done with AI, and I don't want to do that. I want to have kind of live actors doing that. So that would be kind of cool. So we're gonna work on that and have that out before the end of the month.
Nice.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Thanks.
Excellent. So do check those things out from my compadres here, because they work hard. Okay, so we'll be back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, usual time, with the Nielsen ratings. There may be some other things popping up from time to time. Keep an eye on the channel. Got a lot going on at the moment, work-wise, working hard on my next book. The publication date for that is September. Got a film coming up that I'm directing. And then there's a couple of other also little freelance projects and things. I'm just trying to juggle a few balls and keep them in the air at the same time. Not always easy. So that's why I'm not doing as many live streams at the moment. But we will be keeping this one in situ, and then I will do others as and when until this period of madness has passed. Also, my play on the post office scandal is going ahead again in the UK with the Red Lens Theatre Company as a co-production. That will be on in June. Inside Man has personally promised to be bringing a coach of 40 people to one performance. I look forward to that. But until then, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Find a hidden gem today.